All right, as your chair, I will open and convene or call to order the December meeting of the North Dakota Ethics Commission here on Wednesday, December 17th, 2025 at approximately 9:02 a.m. Before I call for the agenda items, additions and changes is that I have asked the staff to follow, starting in January, I guess, to include on our agendas at the top, because these are public documents and that, but I've asked that we include our mission statement. And so I'm just going to read it as a reminder, in particular because of our new members, but also just for ourselves as the body and for the public. The mission of the North Dakota Ethics Commission is to strengthen the confidence of the citizens in North Dakota in their government by ensuring and promoting transparency and accountability. And when the commission was formed, 7 years ago, the fall of 2019, that was our first, I guess, work or business that the commissioners developed, and we worked on, I think, maybe for a couple of months. And I'm bringing it up, and that I asked it to be included on the top of our agendas, just as a reminder about who we are and what we're about and what we're trying to do in our purpose. But I'm also bringing it up because if you've looked at the agenda, one of our agenda items is to review our strategic plan and the strategies and priorities of that strategic plan. And I have talked to the staff, and as we set our schedule for 2026, we're going to try to convene an in-person meeting in February, and a specific meeting relative to that strategic plan. And I've asked for this because we have 3 new commissioners, but it's also just timely. Let's look at that strategic plan. What are we doing? What are we trying to do? And maybe it is time to modify, reflect and modify those strategies and those plans. And are they still appropriate? Are they still relevant? And when we look at that strategic plan, it should also be with the eye to the mission. And maybe the mission statement should be reviewed also. So I'm just bringing that to your attention and trying to start in a good way. So first order of business is I'll ask for any comments or changes, additions on the agenda.
Cindy, I have a small one,
Okay.
and it really is just a modification based on the events of yesterday. Our 4th agenda item is to welcome our newest commissioner, Mark Western. We will also be adding the now newest commissioner, Commissioner Jared Hubrights, to that as well. And then a word of thanks to Marie. So just a slight modification.
Okay. Any other questions on the agenda? All right, hearing none. Next item is the approval of the minutes for November 19th.
I'll move approval of those minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as drafted for November 19th, 2025. Any questions? Call for the roll? Or do we do this in verbal?
No, we do a rule, Cindy.
Okay, yeah.
And hopefully I can get them all correct my first time. So Commissioner Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner Hubrights.
Aye.
Commissioner Western.
Aye.
And Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Good, thank you. And yes, it is, I've already kind of visited and talked a little bit, few minutes here early with our newest member, Jared, and I've had the opportunity to visit a little bit with Mark, and Pam joined us last month, so this is her second meeting. But I'd like to give our new commissioners just a moment. We welcome you to the work of the North Dakota Ethics Commission, but Pam, would you like to say anything as your second meeting?
Well, I still second meeting in. I'm still very excited that I'm on the commission. So that's a good thing. A lot of things have transpired. And I think as we go, things are going to smooth out, and I think they're going to get much better. And I was really happy to go to the Kogel conference, in spite of having a black eye. It was very insightful, and it was really good to talk to other people about their activities. So I'm happy to be here.
Great. Thank you, Pam. And Mark, would you like to say a few words?
I'll be very brief. It is a privilege to be a part of this commission. It is a privilege to represent the people of North Dakota, and I'm hopeful that I can use my skill sets to be helpful to the commission, and that we are able to work together to do the people's business. It is a privilege to be with you all.
Yes, welcome, Mark. We look forward to your engagement. And our newest member, Jared. And Jared, please help me. I'm trying to make sure I can say your last name correctly.
No problem. It's pronounced Hubrights.
Hubrights. Okay, Hubrights.
Yeah,
Would you like
thank you.
to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I would echo the similar comments. I think it's a privilege to be here, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you, commissioners and staff. My disposition is to treat people with dignity and respect at all times, and that's how I conduct myself. And I look forward to bringing value to this commission and working through the issues together.
Well, I think it's very exciting, and I'm very impressed with all of you. And I'm like, oh my gosh! And I'm excited about each of your backgrounds and what you bring to the table for the North Dakota Ethics Commission. I think you all probably know who I am, but maybe not. I am one of the original 5 members, as is Judge Goodman, who unfortunately is not feeling well and hasn't joined us today. And hopefully we can bring some of that continuity and consistency from when we first started to our discussions and the table and that. But I am a longtime educator in North Dakota. I am a member of the Spirit Lake Dakota tribe in Fort Totten, North Dakota. I served as 21 years as the president of my tribe's college, and I'm now currently at the University of North Dakota. And I too echo your comments relative to this work. When I applied to be a commissioner, I don't do these things lightly, as I think all of us. It's important for me for civic engagement and public participation, but I also believed in how and why the commission was established and the need for the commission and the work of the commission. So I'm really excited about our new members and going forward, like Pam mentioned, in a good way. We do have a lot of work to do and to accomplish. And so we shall continue to do that in a good way to the best of our abilities. And hopefully we can meet in January. Well, maybe not January, but in February, we can meet in person, because I appreciate the technology and the tool of the technology in that. But I think me being in person really helps to not solidify, but bring us together in a good way as human beings in this work, and just to get to know each other better at a personal level as well as that professional level. So I look forward to that, and hopefully we can get some dates set for that. The other aspect of item number 4 that Rebecca mentioned when we started, in addition to welcoming our new members, is we want to acknowledge our former chair and past member, David Anderson, and our staff is recommending that we present his family with a plaque to commemorate his years of service. And I wholeheartedly agree. I don't think we need to take action, right, Rebecca? That we just wanted it noted and on the record that with Mr. Anderson's passing this past spring, it kind of left us in a flux, but he was integral and also an original member of the commission and did some really good things in his leadership capacity with the commission. So I concur wholeheartedly with that, and hopefully it'll bring his family a sense of his contributions relative to public service. We don't need to take action, right, Rebecca?
No, the authority or the spending authority is well within the executive director's authority to spend, so we are good on that. We've done it for other commission members, and so this one is just a little bit unique. We will reach out to his family and plan accordingly to get it to him. They are not local, but we will, I do have communications with them, so we'll coordinate.
All right, thank you much. All right, moving on. We're on item 5, Executive Director's Report. So Rebecca?
Cindy, did you want to include, I also amended the agenda memo early this morning to add that we now also will be doing that with Murray Sogsveen, who is no longer on the commission as well. I'm guessing if you printed the memo yesterday, it's not on there, but we will do that as a sign of gratitude and thanks for all the years of service that Murray had with the state. He only had 1 year with the commission, but an impact he did make.
Yes. Please do, yes. And thank you. Yes, I missed that.
Well, there was a lot of moving and shaking yesterday, so. How do you want to pull up attachments? So I'm going to attempt as quickly as I can to breeze through, not with also being thorough, walking through the executive director's report. I'm going to hand it over to Addie, our operations administrator, to walk us through the budget and the budget projections for the rest of the biennium.
Yep. So through the end of November, this overview here goes through the end of November of 2025. Our current appropriation is sitting at $1,368,016. But with the intern funding we recently applied for, that we're still waiting for final approval, I believe. The projected appropriation will then be sitting at $1,378,956, which is reflected in the overview that I'm presenting today. Expenditures in November totaled $49,512, bringing our total expenditures for the biennium to $235,656. Leaving a remaining budget of $1,143,300 for the biennium. Our projected outstanding expenditures through the end of the biennium are at $1,140,134, leaving an estimated amount of $3,165. And this will continue to fluctuate as we move through the biennium. The projected outstanding expenditures does take into account General Counsel's carpenter's raise that we talked about in the last meeting. 2 legal interim positions, which we will be receiving some funding from OMB. And as discussed in the last month's meeting, it also reflects the part-time attorney temporary position.
Thanks, Addie. Any questions, comments? You will see those professional fees and service line item that we are pulling money from for that temporary attorney salary and benefits position. You will see that ends up going negative, but keep in mind that there are other areas. We do have a single line item budget, so that comes from other places. If there are questions on that, particularly with the professional fees, just for the public's awareness and as a reminder for the commission. We have worked with both OMB and HRMS about that particular line item or budget item. For professional fees, the purpose of that is to be able to provide more professional work to support the commission. And we have spoken with HRMS and OMB about the most cost-effective way to do that. We have so much legal work that needs to be done on both the complaint and the legal analysis and research side, that using those funds for a temporary part-time attorney is the best use of those funds. And so I think Stephanie is on, and she can, if you have questions, I don't know if she can speak, but we can also run those by her. But that is where we are at on the professional fees. And then we did include the raise calculations that were approved during last month's meetings for the general counsel position. I do have that item later on in my report, just as we'll talk about it a little bit later. So any questions on the budget? Hearing none, we will move on to our case management. So I'm going to pull up 3. So Chair Lindquist asked me to give just a slight overview of, this is our case management report that we provide the commission each month. It indicates how many complaints were dismissed, how many we have pending, and the forms that we have received. You'll see this is for November 1st through November 30th of 2025. We did receive a number of complaints in November, so that number of pending complaints did go up accordingly. I will talk about the dismissed complaints later in executive session, why there are no dismissed complaints there and why there's no settled complaints. But that is really just, we'll have the commission take care of that today. And then we also did receive conflicts of interest and meeting notice forms, as we typically do. So this number did go up from last month, just slightly. And the other thing I wanted to let the public and the commission know, Chair Lindquist has asked me to kind of give an overview of old cases that are out there. Most of the cases before the commission, all of them but 6 are from 2025. 6 of them are from 23 and 24. The ones from 23 were filed near the end of 2023, and we are attempting to work through those. And the ones in 2024, some of those are in initial review still, and others are investigation. But just so that everybody's aware, only 6 of those are from 23 and 24. So we have been making significant progress in working through complaints and getting those cleared out, or moving through those investigations when applicable. Any questions on that?
Rebecca, is there a ballpark average number of cases to manage that come in every month, or does it just depend entirely?
Good question. It's entirely dependent. Some months we get none, some months we get 20, some months we get 5. It really just depends on what comes to us.
Thanks.
So. These are both looking at me.
Mhm.
I'll talk to you about it later. I just have a question of what the numbers are.
Any other questions? All right, I will move on to our human resources update. This is probably the bulk of where my update will come, or my report will come from. As discussed in previous meetings, I have been working with HRMS, and we did post a job for a part-time temporary attorney. We reopened that position. We did get a few applicants, but it wasn't a significant hiring pool. This is a really niche job posting, that it's part-time, it's temporary, and we're looking for an attorney. So the candidate pool is not very big to begin with, but we did get some applicants. So just to expand that hiring pool, we did repost it. It did close last Friday, I believe. That was the 12th, or maybe it was Sunday. Yes, it was last Friday. And so we will again be interviewing applicants in the coming weeks, and I will hopefully have a report to the commission in January on the hiring of a temporary part-time attorney. And really this person is to assist Logan in general counsel services, provide legal research, drafting what I would consider interrogatories or questions for interviews, etc., doing some of the legwork so that Logan can be looking at more big picture things. Interns. We had a great pool of interns that applied to the commission for our summer internship program. Some of those were local, some of them were outside of the state, which was great to see. We extended 2 job offers. One of those has been accepted, and we are waiting to hear on the second. If we don't hear from the second individual, we will move on down the line because we had so many great applicants. Logan and I interviewed those individuals, and we really felt like we had a good applicant pool. So I look forward to having our interns start in our office in May after they wrap up either their first or second year of law school. The other HR update, just very briefly, as directed by the commission at the November meeting, I retained attorneys to represent the commission in the pending action in federal court against both the commission and the executive director in her official capacity. And we retained Justin and Tiffany Vinge. I did submit a request to the Office of the Attorney General on December 2nd that those individuals, that Tiffany and Justin, be appointed as Special Assistant Attorney Generals. As of the date that I originally drafted the memo, which was Monday morning, that appointment paperwork still had not come through. So that had been roughly 2 weeks. However, late on Monday, that appointment was approved. Tiffany has already been or has been a SAG in other capacities, and so she wasn't expecting it to take that long. And the reason that that timeline is important is because we are required to provide a response in that litigation. And so I am glad that it did come through in a timely or enough time for us to be able to provide a response still. So we do have those 2 officially on board as of Monday, and they will join us for executive session today. So the next item that I have as part of the executive director report, I'm really just asking for the commission to make a motion on this issue. For the new folks, I can certainly give you guys the data and the information as well. But due to the divergent positions that the executive branch has taken regarding the service of Commissioner Stogsveen, and in an abundance of caution, with an eye towards mitigating any potential litigation risks. And we really want to make sure that we insulate the previous decisions of the commission. I am asking just for a motion once again to approve the expenditure for me to expend the additional funds to allow for the increase to General Counsel Carpenter's salary. If anybody has any questions about how we reach those numbers, you'll see in both attachments 4 and 5 the comparisons that we've done and the analysis that I have on how I reached that number. So I can gladly answer any questions.
I would make that motion. I was here for that meeting and I thought the discussion was complete and sound and logical. So I would move that we approve those funds.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
I just want to state, I was not here, but I did read through all the documents provided and certainly understand the desire to have reaffirm Commissioner Stogsveen's decision. So I just want to state that before I vote.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, go ahead, Addie, call the roll.
Commissioner Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Western.
Aye.
And Chair Lindquist.
Aye.
Moving on to the Kogel update. This is Kogel update 1 of 2. And I say that because it's very clear after attending this conference, so that I came back slightly overwhelmed and with several pages of notes and information. All of us attended different sessions. So just for the public's information and for the commission's information, myself, General Counsel Carpenter, Commissioner Sharp, and our operations administrator, Mose, attended Kogel. It was a wonderful conference. We learned a lot. I think some of the most important sessions for me were actually outside of different topics that I hadn't learned about yet, and I learned new things about how other states are doing it. That was very fascinating. I also got some really practical tips on implementing best practices. So it was a great conference. What I would like to do when we have more than 5 or 6 days is to present a actual presentation to the commission about really what we learned, what we took away, and what we can implement here in North Dakota. A lot of the discussions I attended focused on education and how best to educate both public officials, lobbyists, and the public about the commission's work. I know General Counsel Carpenter focused on the enforcement side or investigation side. He was really reassured that what we were doing was best practices from other ethics commissions who have been doing it much longer. So that was a good trend to see. I also had the opportunity to participate as a panelist to discuss the Campaign Legal Center's annual threat assessment. And so that was a unique opportunity that we had. So we'll give a breakdown. I did include the new recently released 2025 Campaign Legal Center threat assessment. You will see that North Dakota is included in the discussion. I don't plan on going into it, but I did want the commission to have this for their own information.
Rebecca, would you see that as part of an agenda for a regular meeting or a separate meeting? How do you see this?
The
Pardon?
threat assessment or the Kogel?
Just Kogel in general, and you presenting your own personal report about your attendance and lessons learned from our group.
Cindy, I think I would like to do how you and I did it last year. I believe I got your notes. I think that's how we did it. And then we presented a report to the commission in January. So I would like to do it that way. And at that same time, I think including some of the information from the Campaign Legal Center's threat assessment is beneficial because that was one of the topics that we discussed.
All right.
So
And for the benefit of the new commissioners, would you again explain Kogel? And then I think they usually let you know, it's usually in December, but have they set the location? Because
yes.
I'm going to encourage the new commissioners to consider going to next year's sessions.
So they actually, I believe they even set the dates. Yep. It is going to be in Denver next year. So that is very convenient for us here in Bismarck. And it is going to be December 6th through the 9th. So it usually starts on Sunday afternoon and wraps up Wednesday afternoon. And thankfully, these flights should be easier than getting to Atlanta.
And then again, just
Kogel,
a little description about Kogel.
So Kogel is the Conference on Governmental Ethics Laws. The Ethics Commission, all of the commissioners and staff are members of Kogel. So you can attend their educational sessions throughout the year. How I usually do it is I take the invite that comes to us as staff and I forward it to you as commissioners. I know Cindy, you have listened to a few of those, and they're very good because they have individuals both at the federal level, the state level, and Canadian influences coming in and talking about ethics issues. And so I have found them to be very helpful and informative. But COGL is really an organization of ethics commissions coming together and learning what other individuals or what's happening. They do an annual Blue Book, which is a review of enforcement actions in all of the states. They do that both for ethics violations. They do that for FOIA information, freedom of information or open records. They also do that for campaign finance. What am I forgetting? I feel like there's a fourth. And lobbyists. Oh, and then litigation and lobbying. So there is, by being a member of COGL, we have access to that information. It also is, to be really frank, my network of folks that I go to when I have a question or we have something new in North Dakota that we haven't addressed. I reach out to the executive directors or the commissioners who have been doing this in other states for a much, much longer time. So with that, Cindy, I think that gives an overview of COGL. It's a wonderful organization to be part of.
Yeah, and just more homework, commissioners, but it is a very good resource to look at. And when our staff brings us information, they usually cite, where they've looked, if it's other states or at the federal level or whatever. So we don't have to do as much work as they do, but it is a very, very good resource. And again, I'm going to encourage you as we set the calendar for 2026 that you do mark those December dates. And if at all possible, consider attending and participating. Thank you, Rebecca.
Cindy, I'm going to make one more note. They do not have online options or video options for their conferences, which we have shared that concern with them multiple times.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Go ahead and continue, Rebecca.
Okay, the last two are operational updates. The one is there was a motion, I believe it was back in September, for the commission to obtain transcription services that is part AI, part human. And this is a subscription that we're looking at where we can send in videos and it comes back to us transcribed within so many days, or potentially the option for real-time transcriptions. And so I just wanted to let the commission know I have been working with NDIT throughout November, and they are in the testing phase. There are several other agencies that use transcription services or a web-based transcription service in this way. And so basically what they're doing is taking our meetings and some of our testimony and running them through and checking for accuracy. Some of the AI ones are producing a very low accuracy. And then the AI human combinations are obviously producing a better accuracy. So that's what we're looking at. The cost, I did get an estimate on the cost and it seems very reasonable. I'm very excited about that. The other thing that this does open up the possibility to, and I actually just got a message on it, is about editing our videos, which would save Addie a substantial amount of time in putting our videos together, that it does that for us as well, or allows us a better platform to do that. So I do anticipate IT is really plowing ahead with this one, and I anticipate we'll have this wrapped up in January. Any questions, comments?
What's the service called?
They have not told me.
Okay.
He's testing like 3 or 4 different ones, and then he's going to give us a recommendation of his time. What it sounded like. It's not Copilot or other ones that the state can use for free. Those have pretty low accuracy rates. So, and I do think he has told me. It's just written down in my desk somewhere. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then the second operational thing is case management system. This is a very brief update to tell you that we are finally getting started on our case management system. This has been on my to-do list since the end of legislative session, but with various things that have come up and the uptick in complaints, this has not been a priority. But this, I initiated our first NDIT exchange earlier this month. And actually, I think it was maybe last month, but we are going to move forward with this and start our meetings in January. So just to let you know, there's going to be a lot more information coming on that. I believe, Cindy, that wraps up my report for this month.
All right. Anybody have questions on that case management? It's something we've been discussing for like Rebecca said, for quite a while.
Is IT developing it themselves?
That's a great question, Pam. So what we have talked about to date, so there are case management systems, web-based case management systems that we have looked at using. The cost of those is very high. So what we did is we looked at, again, kind of echoing what I just talked about, we looked at what other ethics commissions do. So we got in touch with our counterparts in New Mexico, and they had a software company develop a case management system just for them. And the reason they did that is because of the nuances with confidentiality that they have. So I shared that information with Corey Mock, and he said, hey, I think we have something that we can do. And because our agency is so small, they'd like to test it with us. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm sure I'll get more information that then can be applicable to larger agencies. We are not the only agency that is missing this key component. Office of Administrative Hearings still does it paper copy. And there is, who else was it? There was another agency that Corey shared that is also working through case management. And so they would like to work with us kind of as a test case to see if they can do it. We also can put out bids to other ones, but we do have a limited budget. And basically Corey knows what our budget is. He was listening to the budget discussion, and the goal is that we can get it done for that amount, or we may have to go back and ask for more next legislative session. Yep.
Okay,
Great.
all right. We are now moving on to item number 6 on our agenda, ongoing business. And first order under that is proposed travel disclosure rules. And Rebecca, are you going to lead us, or is Logan?
I can start out and Logan can take over. Addie, can you pull up attachment 7, please? So I'm going to provide a little bit of a background on this, only because we do have new individuals on board today, and I want to make sure everybody's aware of where we have come on this. Cindy, I think at the last meeting, you talked about all of the different meetings that we have talked about, the proposed travel disclosure rules that I believe we listed them, and there was quite a few, maybe a dozen, half dozen. But we did hold the hearing on these proposed travel rules in July in the Secaucus Meeting Room here at the Capitol. Commissioner Sogsbean served as our hearing officer for this hearing. And in light of the comments that we received, and we also reviewed a few things internally ourselves, at the last meeting, the commission amended those rules with the highlighted portions. So the highlighted portions are what was amended in November. No?
Wow.
Amended at November, maybe it's attachment 7.
This, you're looking for.
Yep, I'm looking for 7. This is.
I think the reverse.
Oh, then pull up 8. I apologize. I'm looking for 8, maybe. Okay, commissioners, we had the numbering wrong. Nope, that's the wrong one. No. Okay. 1 second. There we go. That is now correct. As you can see, that has last updated on November 19th. These were the amendments or the changes that the commission adopted in November. You will see there was a change to the definition. It included immediate family instead of spouse, and then that followed throughout. We changed the day that those travel disclosure statements were due. We simplified that. I believe there's another change further down. And then we adjusted the penalties that attach to those.
What?
And as well as what's included in the report. Now, after the November meeting, after the commission adopted these changes, they requested that we notify public officials and get additional input. So you will see the additional comments or input that we received as attachment 9 to the memo. And several individuals reached out and we met with them. And so we learned, Logan and I specifically met with Auditor Gallion, and then we also met with the Commissioner of Financial Institutions, and they had very similar concerns. And so I wanted to talk about the concerns that they raised, because they were not, one of them is included in the comments, but Auditor Gallion's were not. And so what Auditor Gallion expressed to us is that with the updated language, he was concerned that the commission was requesting policy monitor travel be reported. And that was not the intent of the commission. And I think this comes back to the fact that Logan and I have looked at this document and these words, this language, hundreds of times. And we are in our own little world. And so it was nice to get a piece of constructive feedback from somebody who was looking at it for the first time. So what we did is, based on the feedback that we received, we modified this. So now you will see this is an update from December 11th of 2025. And it better defines policy monitor travel. And then it ensures in number 6 that we have that excluded. Then you'll also see down in the travel disclosure statement, we clarify again down there that you are filing this form for third-party funded travel. So that was also a change that we made to better clarify that policy monitor travel, which is really travel, if we look at the definition. Let me go back up, Abby, sorry. Policy monitor travel in this new definition is within the state of North Dakota's enterprise resource planning system, or on the Legislative Assembly's report on out-of-state meal form. So this is if it's entered in PeopleSoft. That's just the language that we use to mean PeopleSoft, but we don't say PeopleSoft because that platform software may change. So with that, we have better definitions up top. And then we also have an elimination on the next page. We had this note or this inclusion that every public official shall report all policy monitor travel as required. Really, this was an attempt to ensure that people were submitting their PeopleSoft reports. But as we spoke with individuals, this is not a concern that they are seeing. And this is something that is happening on a regular basis. So we did eliminate that from the rule. That section was also creating confusion because it was an implication that it was reported as outlined above to the commission. And that was not the intent. So if we go down one, I think there's one more change, Addie. And this is really just the elimination of that reporting of policy monitor travel. That happens through PeopleSoft, so we eliminated it through the rest of the rule. That is my overview. That was based on, and so we made these changes based on the feedback that we received, and particularly a very helpful discussion with both the individuals with financial institutions and the auditor's office. They gave us a fresh set of eyes that, to be very frank, Logan and I just can't have fresh sets of eyes with these anymore because of how many times we've looked at them. So do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so after we sent out the request for additional comments, we got quite a few comments in response, and those were due by Sunday at midnight. So those are included as attachment 9. And we had questions from some of them that were submitted. We did receive one from the governor's office, so I was working on setting up a meeting with the governor's general counsel to work through some of the questions that I had after reading their comments. There's We also wanted to run this back by the auditor's office, and we haven't had a chance to do that. And then the third thing is I'm working on compiling the legal analysis regarding penalties, because there has been some comments that state that they believe the commission doesn't have the ability to create penalties. So I'd like to get the other legal research to you that supports the penalty provision before you take any action on the rules. So I'm requesting a counsel for the commission that you just give us more time to work on these rules and the comments and do some more of the legwork so we can provide you with more information before you take final action on them.
Well, but I would just say I appreciate that because my concern was the penalty also. And I know I brought it up just briefly at the last meeting and we were going to discuss more. So, yeah, I appreciate that. You know, in light of the Attorney General's opinion and other comments, I think we just want to be very sure about what we're doing. So I appreciate that.
Concur, Logan. I had a couple questions, but I think there's more work to be done. It sounds like you're on top of that. I read through the comments, and it seems like those who responded are generally supportive of these updates with some minor concerns and some suggestions for change. One of, I can't remember if it's I think it was the governor's letter that said there's concern about unnecessary redundancy in reporting. Do either of you, and this is just for my benefit, is there a requirement to report third-party funded travel already for the state? Okay.
That was the impetus for these rules.
Okay, thank you.
So we're wondering if part of that concern was after we met with Auditor Gallion, we had met with him before, long meeting, walked through the rules, word for word, and he gave us some really good suggestions. This was probably last summer that we met with him. He'd probably know better when we met with him, but he had some really good suggestions. And then we included this new definition of policy monitored travel. And it kind of changed the structure a little bit. And then when he read it a second time, his concern was now that we were duplicating and we were now requiring policy monitor travel to be reported twice. So I'm wondering, and that's why Logan has reached out to the governors, that it's the same concern. And then the Commissioner of Financial Institutions also had that same concern. So we're thinking that it was being interpreted the same way that Auditor Gallion was interpreting it. So that's why we want to meet with the general counsel for the governor to see if that, or if there's something else that was their concern.
There was also an additional concern about travel information that's confidential.
Yes.
Under state law, and that's not the intent of what we're trying to capture here, but I'm wondering if we need to go back and add a line that says that if something's confidential, please don't fill out the form. The other thing too is that we were working with OMB before, and we should maybe do a demonstration again.
Yeah.
Request them to come back, but the state checkbook has a lot of the information that's reported through PeopleSoft, and you can go and access that online. I'm sure you're well aware of this, Pam, that you can go on.
I tried to forget PeopleSoft.
But you can go and access and find that information that's already reported through PeopleSoft. We were working with them on a separate dashboard, so it's just the travel information and not all the state's financial data. So if somebody does have a question about what's already reported, that there's a easier way to access that information without just filing an open records request.
So that was, I want to piggyback on what Logan said just briefly. When I met with financial institutions yesterday, one of their concerns was providing confidential information, particularly agendas or other things that they do, because some of their travel may include confidential travel. And so that was a good concern to be brought to us. We've addressed that issue in other filings and how other agencies file things or other individuals when there's confidential information. So I think that going back and amending the rule or changing the rule to include something regarding confidential information that we don't want that to be submitted to us, that would be a good piece. So they also raised concerns just for the commission about whether when there's partial payments, whether that would be included. And so that was a concern that they raised. And then also when they receive a reimbursement from a, not even a reimbursement or a scholarship, I believe is the phrase they used, from a entity that they pay into as a member. And then that membership provides them with a scholarship opportunity for their employees to attend a conference or a training. So that's something that we'd like to take a closer look at as well. And if the commission has any suggestions on that, I guess we'd really like to hear that.
Any other questions or comments? So from this discussion, hopefully you understand that we've been working on this for quite a while, and it's still, I guess, work in process. All right. So we're okay to move on to item B? Proposed complaint rule amendments.
I'm having Addie bring them up, Cindy.
Okay.
By way of background, we went through a legislative session that had changes to the complaint process that we worked through within our budget bill. So because of that, we have to go through and reflect those changes in our rules. But we also had changes that the commission wanted to make based on practice. We've gone through this process in total once. And based on that, we identified changes that should be made to the rules to better streamline that process. So back in, well, we held the hearing. So we started the process this summer. We noticed the rule, set a hearing date, had the hearing on September 9th, accepted public comments. And then it was last month, I believe, that we amended the proposed complaint rules, reflecting some of those comments, but also to address additional concerns at that time. So this is the most current draft that Addie has brought up that was last updated on November 29th. And the most recent, the updates are highlighted throughout from November. So the rules, the commission could adopt them if you choose to do that today. You still have a little bit more time. There is a statute that addresses the effective date of adopting rules to reflect statutory changes. So you have 9 months to do that. Because there was an emergency provision regarding the complaint rules, that date was May 9th that they went into effect. So 9 months from that is February 19th of next year. So you have a couple more months before you need to take final action on the rules, but you can still make changes. We can answer questions and work through any other issues that may come up. But if we need an extension, we have to make that request to Legislative Council if we go beyond February 19th.
And again, the complaint rules also have a penalty in.
Yes,
the
they
amendments
do.
to-
So,
In the bad faith portion.
In the vet, yes, in vets.
so if you want to include that and wait for my analysis, I'm hoping to have that done by January. So we do have some time.
We don't have a lot of time.
We don't have a lot of time, but we have something. And I also understand it's a lot to work through when you're new, you're just on board. So if you have questions, please let me know. We can work through them. It is quite lengthy. Big pages is pages, so.
I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say, let's put it on the January agenda to give it some time for you all to kind of review all these materials and digest it, and then make our own changes. And then this version, Logan, does it include the comments then?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, so that some of the comments are reflected in the changes from last month's meeting, and then there's few attachments where we received comments, and then I went through and annotated them with my legal reasoning, kind of like a response, but not really, just for the commission's information. So you have that to work through as well.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is this draft's kind of messy, so I will get a better PDF to you. It doesn't look like that on my computer since I drafted it, so I'll fix it and give you a better draft. And read it more easily.
I do think having that penalty research would help. I think that's a key component, particularly for the bad faith portion that was added last month.
Yeah, and I did touch on that a little in response to Commissioner Sagsvine's proposal to add it, but I'll go in more depth in regarding the travel rules and then this as well. So you have that as a standalone analysis by me.
And for what it's worth, I if we were to vote on this today, I would probably abstain. But I would appreciate Logan's analysis before we make decisions.
Yeah, it's complicated and that and yeah, Logan getting us a cleaner version of the draft that includes those comments and that, but just even reading through all the various materials relative to how we got to where we are at today. And then the other comment I guess I'll make on this as our newer commissioner, you know, you're getting acclimated to this, so I think having that not your, I hate to say outside, but you're new. So read this really well for us and tell us how to make it better. Not to give you more homework, but I'm giving you more homework.
No pressure.
And Logan, just a general question, these annotations are for us. Do these don't get returned? None of getting to your.
Well, yes, they did get submitted to the Attorney General's office because there's a provision in my agreement for my appointment as a special assistant that I provide that type of work product to their office, so they did receive copies.
Thanks.
As we sit here right now, at least as it relates to the complaint rules, as well as the previous agenda item regarding travel disclosures, I'm having a difficult time connecting the dots in terms of the commission's ability to assess a sanction, penalty, or fine. And I know that 5466 of the code says that we are supposed to act in conformity with 2832, which is the rulemaking section. 2832-26 of the code provides that an agency can assess costs of investigation of someone to be in violation. I think that that's a pretty firm statutory basis for a consequence. I just don't know what else is able to be done, or whether this is something that requires visits with the legislature for the 27 legislative session. Just don't know that. I think there's more to do to try to connect the dots.
And Rebecca or Logan, you want to respond? But no, that, and I agree, Mark. I think that's a good point.
So, Commissioner Western, that is one of the, if I remember, and now I don't have 2832 in front of me, but only certain portions of the Administrative Practices Act, did I say it correctly? Close. Sorry, I always use the federal counterpart. That's what happens when you're in the federal government for so long. Apply to the commission, and I don't remember off the top of my head if that is one that applies to the commission or not. If you look at the language of 2832, there are certain sections that specifically apply to the commission, and it will use the word commission accordingly. There is also a statutory provision in 5466 that applies to the commission assessing a penalty, I believe is the language. I don't have it in front of me, but that is all of the information that we want Logan to have in that memo. to address the exact question that you raise, that we do have to have those dots connected before we move forward with that penalty question, issue, etc.
I'll just add, there's some constitutional analysis too that I want to put pen to paper and just so you can read it. I think I'll articulate it better there than where I can outline my research rather than me just walking you through it now verbally off the top of my head.
But Commissioner
Works for me.
Western, yeah, you do make a very good point that there's a way that it has to be analyzed, and we've looked at it before, but the commission has requested that we have a specific legal analysis before we do that. So that's one of the considerations is 2832.
So
Yeah.
let me step back and maybe ask a different question. When dealing with rule stuff like this is a pretty big thing to chew on, is there any benefit to having a special meeting that focuses just on this issue so that it receives the attention and time it deserves as compared to all the other business of the commission? I know I'm the new guy, or one of the new people here, and so I can't say I've got a total handle on how long every other meeting is going to be, but does this require additional scrutiny in a special meeting?
We're all nodding our heads in Bismarck, just a heads up. We think that's a good idea. I feel like we've done that on another rule. I feel like maybe we did that on one of the last complaint modifications or amendments that we did, Cindy, because we had Pat. It was before we had Logan. We had Pat come, and I do think we did just that. That was the only agenda item. I'd have to go back, but we've done that before. Commissioner Western, I think it'd be a good idea, but I'm not the commission, so but I'll give you the staff standpoint of yes.
I'm just have with the deadline in mind too of February 19th. It's probably a good idea to have time set aside to address that specific issue.
I would concur that just some special time for us to focus right on this would be a really good thing.
Yeah, I think I hear agreement among us as commissioners that this is something we should be doing or we need to do. And then, as Rebecca just mentioned, so time and timing is going to be at the essence. And so we all are going to need to look at our calendars and help the staff set a date. Do you think we could do this online via Teams meeting?
I do. Yes.
Okay. And commissioners, everybody okay with that?
Yes.
I have no issue with that.
Okay. Well, staff, help us try to figure out some dates.
Do we want to aim for early January? I know next week is Christmas. And so if we do a special meeting on the complaint rule amendments in January, would that work? I can send out some dates. Addie can send out some dates later today or tomorrow.
I will add that we have a deadline in the federal litigation of January 9th. So maybe a special meeting for both topics. I know we want to keep the focus on one thing, but the commission will have to approve whatever's filed in that case. So just keep that in mind if we'll look at the calendar too, with that in mind as well. January 9th.
Ooh. Okay, so then we're leaning kind of towards that first week in January, right?
First full weekend.
That work for me?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I think I see heads nodding, so all right, we'll do our best to work it out collectively, but thank you. Good engagement, Mark. Thank you. All right, are we ready to move on? All right, we'll move on to item C under ongoing business, rules related to Ethics Commission organizational structure.
Cindy, this is the result of at the September meeting and then again at the November meeting. Keep in mind, we did not hold an October meeting. The commission has discussed these and directed staff to do a draft. I want to emphasize, this is a very rough draft. This is a shot in the dark, first shot based on what was provided to us. We got great information from Commissioner Sogsbean, but when we say draft, I feel like we need to underline the word draft. We know that there are areas that need to work, that we need work on this, but we also want to bring it to the commission to get initial reactions and initial input from you. So I'm going to have Logan walk through this.
Sure. So last month it was presented in PowerPoint format. So what I did is I condensed it into what more resembles rules. So we have an actual draft to work off of, starting with just the organization of the commission, the name, the mission, the appointment and terms. A lot of this is it's taken from somewhere else. We're just formalizing it in rules. Restricted activities, you can scroll down. The commission's meetings. What's a quorum? The manner of acting. We did add in there, if you want to pause, Addie, I'll point this out as we go along. For the manner of acting, a quorum, a majority of a quorum is usually an act of a commission under that rule. But there was discussion at last month's meeting that for adopting rules, approving advisory opinions, or issuing a finding of an ethical violation, that it should take, there's a chance that you can have a quorum with 3 and then 2 commissioners can approve something. But for those 3 instances, if you're adopting rules, approving advisory opinions, or issuing a finding, a majority of the commission should make that decision, making it 3 commissioners for those scenarios. So that was the discussion, and that's what ended up in the draft. Then we addressed vacancies, officers, the duties of the chair, the duties of the vice chair, and then our commissioner substitution policy. This is from the commission's conflict of interest rules. So if a majority of the commission recuses, what we do in that instance, who will preside as the commission as a substitute. And that's in policy currently. It was my recommendation that should go into rule. So that's our current policy drafted as a rule. In those scenarios, that administrative law judge would take over and preside in those instances. And the next chapter focuses on the executive director and the executive director's duties. Their evaluation, their yearly evaluation, conflict of interest, the current media policy reflected in rule, executive director substitution, same thing here, who serves as the executive director when the executive director refuses due to a conflict of interest, and then requests for advisory opinions. That is currently in policy, that when a request for an advisory opinion comes in, the executive director meets with the chair and they decide pursuant to the statute whether to issue an advisory opinion. There has been instances where we put that on the meeting agenda, but it's a 14-day timeline to determine whether an advisory opinion will be issued. So in some instances, the commission can't meet. So that was the policy that was adopted to meet that 14-day deadline. So that's reflected in rule. And then the last chapter, there was some discussion at the last meeting about the commission's ability to secure records and interviews during its investigations and putting that in rule. So that's currently what's drafted. This was taken from the PowerPoint. When I was drafting it, I identified this chapter as the one that needs the most work before we go into the rulemaking process. So I'd like to take some time and work on this one before we even start that process. But this is what we currently had from last month's meeting. I think that's it. I went through that quickly, so I will gladly answer questions.
I have a question, if just maybe you could expound a little bit more. So on the first page, appointment and term of commission members, since we just went through this with the governor and the 2 senators and Commissioner Sagsby. So, and I know this was in the commission's policy, now you'd be putting this in rule, that the commissioner would stay until a successor has been appointed. So it seems like the governor and the 2 senators might not, or some of them don't agree with this. What happens if this is in rule? Because then we can't just go back and change it willy-nilly. It's a rule. What happens if someone in the executive branch that feels like this is wrong, or will they talk us through that?
Sure. So this reflects the commission's longstanding policy that commissioners continue to serve until their successor is appointed. It also reflects my legal analysis on the issue that I did last month when it was an issue. I haven't seen any legal analysis that opposes my position on it. I haven't seen the authorities that they're using to come to that position. When this goes through the comment period, they can certainly provide it. I've asked for it. I have not received anything, but to answer your question, that's been the practice that commissioners will continue to serve until their successor is appointed. I don't know if putting in a rule changes anything, because in my opinion, that's the state of the law. If you're appointed, you need to continue serving until somebody is appointed to take your place. So it more or less formalizes it by putting it in the rule. Now, if somebody wants to challenge it, they have legal options and legal avenues open to them if they want to do that. But to date, this is the status of what the commission has done. And in my opinion, it's the status of the law.
And maybe it would incentivize the appointment process to in the governor and the 2 senators to maybe start earlier.
Yeah, it's not an easy process. Consensus is never easy, but I think there's a good solution to not having to default to the commissioners continue to by just working through it earlier, perhaps. But if we need it, it's there, and we have needed it a few times in the past. So otherwise, we wouldn't have a quorum at some avenue if they never meet and appoint somebody. But this is what we currently work with, so it's in the draft.
Okay, so when these rules go out for comment, that would be their opportunity to share their.
Yes, and yeah, we accept anything they're willing to share with us now as well. Too, I'd be happy to review it.
Is it implied here, Logan? So for example, if Commissioner Sagsby reappointed, is that considered a successor to him? Is a successor to him?
Essentially, yes. Your successor is your the new appointment, not necessarily the person, but the appointment documents and the appointment process. They still have to formally say, well, we reappoint this person. So based on that decision, successor could be the same person. It's a successive term of office.
Okay, so you're saying you feel you need some more work on some of these things before it even goes out for that.
Yeah, I should work on that last chapter.
So on the last chapter, on the discovery chapter, I would like us to have a discussion particularly about 1 and 2, part of 115.01.03.01. And this needs some more meat on the bones, but I think it would be good to get some direction or the feelings of the commission initially before Logan starts to put meat on the bones. So you will see it says the commission may obtain discovery by one or more of the following methods. And so this is the commission. Depositions on oral examination or written questions. This is reflective of civil procedures that happen in lawsuits. but we use a little bit of a different language sometimes. B is written interrogatories. C is issuing a subpoena for a record. And D is issuing requests for admission. Subsection 2 says the executive director may issue written interrogatories and requests for admission, but the act of 3 commissioners is required to command depositions and issue subpoenas. So as the executive director, I need to know what is going to be required, and I'd like to get your thoughts on, I'm coming to the commission and asking for the commission to issue a subpoena or to command a deposition. Most of the time people are willing to be interviewed and have that, but this really establishes a very, very vague process. And I would like to know what the commission would expect, the expectations in that particular instance, and also thoughts on process, because it would come from the commission, not from me as executive director, for those 2 things. And so that is what I'm looking for, really. You know, any suggestions? Mark, as the litigation attorney, I'm looking to you maybe more particularly than I. But this is very vague language, and so before we really get into it, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but want to know your thoughts.
Well, let me step back and think out loud a little bit, Madam Chair, members, and staff. You know, same thing. This is my first meeting. Have not gone through a lot of things, so I don't know that I necessarily have the experiential basis to say what should or should not happen for discovery. But if you compare this to a civil lawsuit, one, as it relates to issuing a subpoena, would you also look at issuing a subpoena for deposition as opposed to just seeking documents? Here, you know, when you compare this to a civil lawsuit, you've got a complainant and you've got a respondent. And usually in a traditional civil lawsuit, the 2 parties discover back and forth from each other. Here, there is a commission investigation, and so in some level, it is the trier of fact or the adjudicator seeking information, which is similar to the European prosecution process, generally speaking. So there's a lot of different tensions here that exist. A little bit of me wonders, wouldn't it also stand to reason that parties may seek admissions from one another, or parties may seek interrogatories back and forth to one another that the commission may be able to review? Or am I digging too deep in the weeds right away?
No, that is not too deep. We've had the same thoughts.
So those are just some initial comments. I do think it makes sense that the commission is the entity that issues a subpoena as opposed to just an executive director. You know, this is all kind of creating a lot of things, and it's very evident to me that you want to create something that gives the commission a record to make a decision on a particular issue. Yes, I think there's more work, and in the true spirit of not reinventing the wheel, one of the questions I would put to you is, what process do other commissions around the United States take to get to the same point? Is there a substantial difference in what other commissions do? That doesn't necessarily bind us, but we're certainly not the only group in town that has to think through these issues, or have already had others to think through the issues on our behalf.
Commissioner Western, I can answer the latter portion of that question about what other ethics commissions do. It is all over the board. Some ethics commissions allow their executive director to issue subpoenas. Some allow the respondent to issue subpoenas for documents or interviews, depositions, etc. Some have a process where the commission needs to go to the court, and the court is the one that issues the subpoena. We have run that by our North Dakota Supreme Court. They are not interested in that process because unless we need to have a motion to compel, right, before the court, that there's a non-cooperation type thing or a that particular issue. So we've had those conversations. A lot of commissions, I would say many of them, require either they may use the word prosecutor, they may use the word executive director, they may use the word investigator, needs to come to the commission and present a certain level of evidence regarding relevancy and kind of scope of what they're requesting, and then that information, then they review it, and then they are the ones that issue the commission issues the subpoena. Those are the ones that we are kind of looking to see how that happens. But yes, there is a multitude of ways that this happens.
We're also looking at the rules for attorney discipline and their process. So not even going beyond our borders, just borrowing from another entity in state to see what just the language they use. We have looked at it on a high level, the process of what other entities do, but now that we're getting into the language of it, how can we make it clear when we're proposing a rule?
One of the other things that I think comes to mind here, just thinking through this systemically, failure to cooperate in discovery. So John Johnson, the respondent, doesn't want to provide certain documents and refuses to do so. Do we run into frankly, an issue that the commission then has to rely on the judicial branch to order a party to comply with the discovery process? Does the commission itself have the ability to order someone to compel, as the complaint and investigative process is within its authority, both constitutionally and statutorily? I mean, this is pretty esoteric stuff, but the idea that the commission would have to rely on the whims of a judge. Does it have to file a lawsuit? Does there have to that creates some interesting issues that I think we have to chew on.
Agreed. We also have the overarching issue of confidentiality that plays into this. That are confidential. So a motion to file under seal would have to take place. I mean, that's all things that we can work through, but there are a lot of landmines along the way. And so when we say this is initial, and I a lot of the questions that you asked are good questions, Mark, and those are really helpful to frame the discussion, I guess. I may have more questions now than answers, which is always good.
I have other comments, if I may make them, as it relates to other parts of the rules as they're proposed. Earlier, there was a discussion relating to holdover appointments. I don't know that I'm necessarily convinced that the Ethics Commission has the authority to determine that question either. I know that the commission is constitutionally created. I know that the statutes then have a little bit further guidance, but I don't know that the commission itself is able to make a decision upon how a holdover. I mean, I understand that that's a policy that exists. Raising something to the level of a rule, I know there would be other comments, but I'm having trouble connecting the dots on that. But I want to comment on something else that exists in the rules proposed that has to do with optics that I think is important for the commission as a whole to chew on. And it relates to the heading Relations with Citizens and Media. Question one is, does this need to be a rule, especially if there are extremely subjective, I think policies make sense. Does this rise to the level of a rule? I don't know. The commission shall openly and honestly communicate non-confidential issues with citizens and media. I think
I
that
am
that's
Joel. I'm in a meeting and I have an extended warranty on it. Bye, Joel. Sorry.
I think that that's a terrific policy, but how do you objectively state whether or not somebody is openly communicating? I don't know whether it's appropriate for something like this to be in a rule. But the other comment that I have that I think is more deeply held is I think that the commission should not just simply have the executive director to be its only spokesperson. I understand that the rule states that the chair may also speak or be a spokesperson on the issue. And I think the underlying idea or concept was that the commission speaks with one voice. Well, there are 5 of us, and I don't know if or whether we're always going to agree with each other and speak with one voice. And that's okay. That's why there's multiple people on a commission. I think that in the interest of transparency and accountability to the people of North Dakota, that it should be appropriate that any member of the commission may be able to communicate with media if they do so choose. I just don't like the idea for the commission to merely I don't know that the term is necessarily on point, but hide behind the executive director. The executive director does a fine job, but I don't know that just being a media spokesperson is appropriate in every instance. And I know I'm commenting on a lot of things, but I think that this is a comment period, and I wanted to air my thoughts on these things, generally speaking. I yield.
Madam Chair, if I could take an opportunity to follow up briefly.
Sure, go ahead.
So my first comment was going to be about the relations with citizens. And Mark, you framed it much better than I could have in just asking if that needs to be a rule. I think it's a good policy. I think there's an implication that this body needs to be transparent and communicative. But I don't know that it needs to be a formalized rule. And then the other comment I had was back to the discovery methods discussion, and you know, I'm not an attorney, so maybe I'm stating the obvious, but perhaps some clarifying language that the commission, through its executive director, does X, Y, and Z. But I do think that Mark brings up a good point, whether it's relations with the media and the public, or whether it's obtaining discovery. I imagine the executive director sometimes, you know, might think to herself, man, I really use some help here, use some support.
Yes, I'm just gonna say yes.
Yeah. So, I'm supportive of Mark's thoughts there as well as it relates to those issues. Thank you.
I'm just going to provide a executive director perspective on the media relations. That I am in no way tied to this policy as written. This was written before I came on board as executive director, and there are many times that I am looking for support in addressing media concerns, and daily things are not an issue, but it's on bigger topics. I think that having a broader, not as rigid policy would be very constructive in many instances.
I'll add as counsel too, if you want to, I think it's a good idea to not put it in rule, because if you want to try different media policies and you need to change them as you work through them, it's a lot harder process to change a rule and a much more expensive process to change a rule than to change a policy. And I don't see the need for it to be in rule.
Would it be appropriate to make a motion to omit 115010204 and confine those discussions to evaluations of policy?
Is that a motion, Mark?
Well, again, new guy here. Are we formally making motions as to what should or should not be part of this, or is this just an open discussion? We'll get back. I'm having a difficult time wrapping my arms around the appropriate way to proceed.
This is just a draft, right? This is nothing.
I don't want to get in everybody's way here.
You can do it either way. You can give staff direction if the commission just wants to consensus, and we can revise the draft. We haven't formalized anything, so if that's the impression of the commission, we'll revise it with that in mind. You can also do a formal motion, and we will make sure it's removed as well if there's a motion that's approved.
I'm open. It makes no difference to me. Either way we can press delete. It's probably less work simply to encourage staff to omit that part.
I'm supportive of Mark's comments.
I'm supportive of that as well. Yes.
Well,
I am
from the
Yeah, I am as well. And just for everyone's notice, Commissioner Goodman has joined us, and welcome, Ron. And hopefully you've been following along also on where we're at on these general administrative rules. And again, it is a draft. And this has been a great discussion. And how and what should be put into rule. So I really appreciate the input that the new members are contributing here. It makes us see this thing differently and where we're at, but it is a draft. But I do concur with Mark's suggestion about let's eliminate that one section.
I've been on here, and sorry for my voice here. I've been on for about 2 minutes, so I've heard some of the discussion, and I am fine with what's been discussed here. Sorry about that.
Great, thank you.
And I apologize for joining late, but I've had a rough couple days here, so.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, Ron, and do take care. So
I will.
since
Can't catch it you can't catch whatever I have over Zoom.
Over Zoom. Oh, that's right. Yes, we can't. So Rebecca, again, this is a draft and you're not suggesting any action yet. So you're going to kind of take it then and rework it based on this discussion?
Yep, we will remove the relations with citizens and media. We will keep that in the policy. I do think it would be a good idea for us to revisit that policy and see if there are some tweaks and changes to be made to that in light of the comments that have been made today. And then I think if Commissioner Western is open to to help us or to work through some of the questions that he proposed, but
Sure.
I think that would be greatly appreciated, and I think we could implement some of the comments just that were made. I specifically have a big star beside the record. That is not something that was included in the rule, but we do emphasize that a lot in the process, in the complaint process.
Reflected.
It's reflected. Okay. Logan just answered my question, so that's great. But yes, particularly about the parties, because we do have the respondent and we need to discuss that issue as well. So I think that was a helpful discussion for us to move in the correct direction, or the right direction.
Quick question. Who's sitting across from Logan?
So,
Commissioner Goodman, my name's Jared Hubrights, and I was appointed about 20 hours ago.
Oh, okay. Jared?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Hello, Jared.
Hi.
Yes, we had a appointment late in the day yesterday, and he officially became a commissioner maybe 10 minutes before the meeting. So
Okay.
he is, we're throwing him right in.
Good.
Okay.
And I can you see Pam is also there in the office, Ron, with them? She's
I
kind
see
of on the.
Pam. I've
Okay,
met
okay.
Pam. Hi, Pam.
good morning, Ron.
Good. All right. Any other comments or questions on this item? Okay, we will move on to item D under ongoing business, response to the Office of Attorney General. And before we proceed, Rebecca and Logan, just for the new commissioners, as you get acclimated, look at our agendas, and if there's ways to make it better, improve it, change it, whatever, please do help us and tell us that. But more recently, we've had this subject heading on the agenda called ongoing business. And that is really what our work is about and what our staff are pursuing. And so like the one we just completed, the rules related to the Ethics Commission organizational structure. So it's not completed as yet. So you'll see that recurring in that. But again, new eyes relative to how we set these up, the meetings in that, please tell us how we can make it better. All right, Rebecca, are you going to take the lead here on item D?
Cindy, you're cutting out and everybody is paused on our screen. So hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
now
that.
it looks like we have every.
I don't log out and log back in.
Cindy,
Yeah,
can
you
you give
got-
us a second? We're going to log out and log back in.
Okay. All right, we are ready to reconvene the North Dakota Ethics Commission at 10:46 a.m. And we are on ongoing business, item 6 on the agenda, and item, where are we at? D, response to the Office of the Attorney General.
Cindy, we didn't hear what you said before, so maybe you could. I know you were talking about D, but we couldn't hear you in Bismarck. I'm not sure if the folks online could hear you as well. So I'm not sure what you said.
All I said was that we are reconvening or coming back to order, and we are on item 6, ongoing business. And under ongoing business, we are at the response to the Office of the Attorney General.
Cindy, I apologize. I wasn't clear. We couldn't hear what you said before we took the break. Did you give us like a history or anything on this?
No, I did
Item?
not. No.
Okay.
No.
Do you want me to give a brief overview?
Yes, please.
Okay. So before the commission, you have attachment 15, which is a draft memo response to the Office of the Attorney General, and then as well as enclosures. Commissioner Sogsbean drafted this memorandum for the commission So this was provided to the commission at the November meeting. It was finished before the November meeting, but it was not provided to the commission until I think maybe a day or two before, and it was a lengthy document. So commissioners requested more time to review the draft and to then formulate a response. And so that is, I think, the setup that I need to provide the commission with today, why it is back on the agenda for today.
If I may, I'll just open it saying I have read through it a couple times, and I think it's not appropriate to send this to the Attorney General's office. I mean, maybe it's okay for a record of history, but I don't think this is appropriate to send to the Attorney General's office. I know the Attorney General had asked that he wasn't willing to meet with Cynthia until we responded to 2 letters. So it'd be my suggestion to respond to those letters, to go back and just find the particular things we need to respond to and just be very direct with our responses instead of including all this information. I'd just like to hear other people's thoughts on that too.
Can I clarify? It's my understanding, based on my 20 hours of service here, that we wouldn't be sending this document to the AG's office. This is to help us draft our response.
I think that's up to the commission.
I think there was some discussion of sending a letter, but having that be the attachment to the letter. Everything that's in with it.
There's a lot of stuff that's in the document that obviously pre-exists prior to Commissioner Sharp. Goodness sakes, I can't remember Jared's last name.
Hugh Brights.
Good grief. 3 of us were not there when a multitude of grievances stuff had occurred. And so it's difficult to speak definitively about that which preceded my existence on the commission. But what I can say is this. When I'm in an argument with my kids, they're really, really harsh in text messaging. And usually written communications can get snarkier than face-to-face conversation. I can't say I know or understand the Attorney General's refusal to meet with Dr. Lindquist or Madam Chair Lindquist. I think that and I'm not going to play Karnak the Magnificent and guess his motivations either, but heaven's sakes, I think that it would behoove both the Attorney General's office and the commission to take a breath, step back, and say, well, what are we doing here? Why are we at odds with one another? Again, I realize that I'm one of the Johnny-come-latelys here, but I think that it would be beneficial for everyone if we are able to de-escalate any tension between this entity and that office. I don't know if that's realistic or reasonable under any circumstances, but I think that dialing things down would be helpful all the way around. How to get there? I don't have an answer.
I believe this, sending this would escalate rather than de-escalate.
So
The
Mark,
biggest-
I'm glad, one that I don't, glad I'm not the only one that doesn't quite understand why DHE is not willing to meet. Can I ask if there's any specific reasons that we don't do what Pam suggested and respond specifically to the items that the AG mentions in one of his email responses? Maybe that's the discussion we want to have. I'm just trying to catch up.
Well, let me chime in. When I extended the request to meet, initially they said, sure, yes. And I did that as the chair, and I was the incoming chair. And again, there were so many contextual things that were going on with the commission, our membership in that, and then and other things, and this is all documented. And so initially they said, sure, we'll sit down and meet. And it was not just me as your chair, but with the commission, and to talk about the relationship and working together in that, and then where we were at relative to the topics and things we were trying to handle and manage. And then shortly thereafter, a second response came saying, no, I won't meet with you until you respond in writing to, it was either 2 or 3 pieces that we had received from the AG's office over almost a year. Maybe it was 7, 8, 9 months or so in that. And so, and then that we talked about this, meaning I and the staff, the commission, okay, what, how, and I actually did suggest, and I started off exactly where Pam is at, and kind of, I guess, full circle where we're at now. Can't we just simply say, here's the response to these things, or we're not responding because of whatever, and that. But then because of these other things that happened, and again, there's documentation, we went down the path of Commissioner Sagsveen at the time offering and volunteering to put together those facts. And that's what this document is. Yeah. It's got all the commission's version side, and I hate to say it that way, about what happened, where we're at, in trying to take a position as the North Dakota Ethics Commission on that. It is a draft, and we had these vacancies pending relative to membership, and so we knew this thing was going to change and whatever. And as a long-time member of the commission, one of the original members on that, I'm sorry we're at this juncture in these relationships. And it's not just the AG's office. It's the AG's office, the Secretary of State's office, and now the governor's office. And I do look at the 3 new appointments as, okay, we're at a new juncture, a new place. And so I think it is very appropriate to Commissioner Sharp's point about this will be an internal document. We have it. You have all that document, all those materials, and you can go back and look or not look. And that, but then can we make another attempt to respond to the AG's office? Here's our written response, simply, and da-da-da, and that we would still like to sit down and meet and talk about the relationship between the commission and the AG's office. So I'm paraphrasing a lot of what I'm saying because it is documented. And as an original member of the commission, and I've told several of you, and even publicly about, I take this responsibility very seriously, as I think we all do. When we make application to be part of a body, a commission, a committee, a board, whatever. We don't take it lightly. I don't believe any one of us have come in with our own agendas, whatever. The commission is still very, very new.
Mhm.
And we didn't know what we were doing. And we're trying to do the best at those moments in time with the information we had. And I truly believe that's still where we're at. We have got excellent staff. We don't have enough staff. We have a lot of work right now. And again, as new commissioners, I'm really hopeful and excited that you're going to help us, in this new way, this new direction about where we're at and how we keep going forward on behalf of the citizens of the state of North Dakota in that. So I appreciate all your comments in that. And I do agree, as I've said, with Commissioner Sharp, that let's keep this document internal. It's there because the facts are there in that. And then can we now move forward and put a new letter to the AG's office and respond in writing? And again, just offer, say, can we sit down and meet about the relationship?
Okay, I'm going to comment a little on the history too. The past history. We feel, and when I say we, I feel that the commission and the staff requested a hearing or requested a meeting with the Attorney General. We thought that was going to happen until we got the request from the Attorney General to respond to his earlier letters. I didn't think it was necessary to do that. I think in response to the letters, Mr. Sagsveen, when he was a commissioner, brought up many of the issues that have been festering between the two offices or between the two entities. And I think maybe if we send a rather innocuous letter back to the Attorney General with a mild response, we may get his invitation to meet with us. So I think that's the way we should proceed, is respond to the letter, but not in a manner that would cause further conflict between our two entities. I don't know if that's making any sense.
I think that the good people of North Dakota want to have an attorney general's office and an ethics commission that plays nicely together in the sandbox. And I think that each one of us is committed to making that happen on our end. If writing a letter to respond to a couple of matters is a precondition, I don't know why it should be, but at the end of the day, that's the Attorney General's business and not ours. I think that the people of North Dakota want us all to try to work together when we can, and this would be a way of doing so.
I'm going to suggest that the staff put a new draft together and respond with some of the information that Murray came up with and send that off to the Attorney General, Mr. Wrigley, and see what comes of it.
Can I make a slight modification of that request, Ron?
Sure.
That we provide information for Cindy to draft something. She was the individual who had requested the meeting. We can provide her the background information on these two letters. There is two letters that they specifically request responses from. To provide some context, just for the commission's benefit, the one is a document that was sent. I would consider it a legislative document. It was done during the legislative process. And so that one has a lot of issues, discussion regarding pieces of legislation that ended up not passing. And so that was really a legislative type document. The other one is a July 3rd letter in response to the commission's investigation and ethical findings regarding Representative Doctor. The commission did make a public statement on that, not specifically in response to this letter, but a public statement in general regarding the letter. The July 3rd letter was fairly well circulated in the media. And at the time, Chair Kozer have a public statement that went out. So what I would suggest is we can compile the information for Chair Lindquist to then draft something specific to those instances. Ron, if that's okay with you.
Yes, that's fine with me.
I mean, and the other commissioners, sorry. I was just modifying your request slightly to provide more context.
Thanks, Rebecca. I was going to just comment that I would prefer the letter come from someone other than staff, and it seems like Cindy is the most appropriate.
Well, I'm sorry. Cindy is the most appropriate. The reason I mentioned staff is because as Cindy and I know, they do a lot of this legwork for us, and then they give it to us, and we could pretend that we did all the legwork. Right, Cindy?
Exactly.
I would also be hopeful that other members of the commission may be willing to add their signatures to any letter to the Attorney General's office as well. I think that the relationship between the commission and the Attorney General's office is all for one and one for all. And I don't know that it's fair to the chair to simply say, we'll kind of be behind you, maybe, depending on how things go. And so I think that a collaborative process would be appropriate.
Yeah, great point, Mark. And yes, and I would couch anything. My opening sentence would be on behalf of the North Dakota Ethics Commission. And yeah, but yeah, and I'll work with the staff to come up with a draft and circulate that. If we could do that all electronically or online via email and that, so we could get it out sooner rather than later. Because this is, but
the nuance
yeah.
there is you're going to have a discussion about it. You're going to have a special meeting. So
Yeah.
if other commissioners want to sign on to it, you want to have a further discussion before you send it, we'll have to schedule a meeting.
That's okay.
So another special meeting. Our new commissioners, Ron, if you haven't caught on yet, they're making us work.
Oh yeah.
And work more, which is good, because now this is, I think, since we started this morning, this is going to be our third special meeting, although one of them might be two topics in one. So that's good. It's good.
Well, I don't want to unduly complicate anything, but I think you need to know, Madam Chair, that people stand beside you and not behind you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
1 second, Cindy. I'm just asking Logan if we need to have a motion. Nope.
Sure.
We got it.
Okay. Yes, and thank you, Logan, for keeping us legal, or keeping me legal.
Welcome.
All right. Let's move on to the last item under ongoing business on our agenda, Secretary of State request for the AG opinion.
Cindy, you want me to give a brief opening explanation?
Yes, please.
Earlier in October, the commission made an open records request to the Secretary of State. And based on comments made by the Attorney General during a podcast regarding a opinion request from the Secretary of State to the office, or excuse me, to the Attorney General, we did get a copy of that. The commission became aware of it in, I believe it was late October or mid-October. The commission talked about it at its November meeting on December 12th, just last Friday, shortly before 5 o'clock. I believe it was at 4:56, but do not quote me on that. The Office of the Attorney General released the opinion regarding the Secretary of State's July request for an opinion. I will share that we reviewed it on Friday night. We have reviewed it again, both Logan and I. I know that many of the commissioners have also reviewed it, but we are in the process of reviewing the opinion this week. During the November meeting, the commission directed General Counsel Carpenter to review and analyze the issues, questions presented in the Secretary of State's request for an AG opinion. There were 2 formal questions. There are likely also 2 additional questions that are raised in the body of the request. General Counsel Carpenter has started that independent analysis, but it is not complete. If you remember, our November meeting was on November 19th. The following week was Thanksgiving. And then we had, I think, a few-day break before we headed off to Kogel. So our time has been very consumed lately. But General Counsel Carpenter is working on that. And I'm asking that the commission give General Counsel Carpenter time to finish that analysis before we have any recommendations, next steps, etc. So that is my introduction. The commission can take any discussion from there, but we have attached both the request for the AG opinion, the AG opinion that came out. We also included a 2020 AG opinion that I believe the word was used that it was overruled by this opinion. And that opinion, 2020 L09, was an opinion that the commission had requested back in 2020 regarding its definition of lobbyist in the lobbyist gifting rule. So there is your factual basis and what information the staff can provide you at this time.
Any comments?
I read Logan's rough draft in response to this, and if I'm thinking of the same document, am I? You did a rough draft?
There's no rough draft, Ron.
Ron, I haven't
Okay.
prepared it. I
Okay.
think you're probably my annotations for their comments on the complaint rules. That was
Okay.
included in materials. That's probably what you're referencing.
Okay, well, I'll be like Rosanna Dana and say, never mind.
I agree we should wait till we have some more information to discuss, because there will be a lot to discuss.
Yeah, I would walk through it, but I would like that time myself to go and read it again. I've read it through a few times now, but before I even do that, I encourage you all to read it, and then once I analyze it more completely, then we'll have a more thorough discussion.
One question just for my own clarification. Advisory opinion 25-01 was issued prior to, was issued prior to the Attorney General So, yeah, specifically, caregiving expenses and security expenses.
Sure.
This document
Yep.
precedes the AG document.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, and that was this document that you're referencing, the commission's advisory opinion, was the basis of the Secretary of State's request for the HGF.
Correct. Thank you. I'm supportive of more time.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest and to understand, and you need to read the whole thing thoroughly. And as a non-lawyer, I have challenges reading legal documents, but I think I'm actually becoming more lawyer-like than being on the commission and reading these things and that. But it's a lot to digest and to interpret. And for me, it's like, oh my gosh, what is this and what does this really mean and where are we at with it? And I'm going to suggest to jump in with our new colleagues that I think we're going to need to have a special meeting just on this topic.
Number 4.
Just a retreat. Maybe just a 4-day retreat.
Thought about a retreat weekend, y'all. I suggested it at a staff meeting and it was that way. Just looks. Cindy, I'm making a note of a special meeting for that.
You know what? I'm going to make another comment. To me, it's not surprising that we have these stumbles as we're proceeding, because we've got 3 new members now who this is all new to them, and it's just going to take a while for them to catch up and for Cindy and I to also catch up. And I don't want to get to the point where I say Cindy and I as opposed to Mark and Jared and Pam. I don't want to get that. It's going to just take a while for us to gel a little bit, I think.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing or hearing none? Okay. More time and add it to the homework assignment list, Rebecca and Logan. All right. So moving on the agenda to item 7. And I'm like,
Well,
do we really need item 7 anymore?
I should have updated this morning, Cindy, but item number 7 is an update on the process for appointment of commissioners. I will speak to what's not on your memo is that the selection committee met at 1:15 yesterday and appointed Commissioner Jared Hubrights, who's with us today. Thankfully, he was able to move his schedule around to do that. Although, Cindy, I did ensure that I communicated with him that he was not obligated to be here. So I did communicate that message. The other notable thing about the meeting yesterday was that the selection committee did talk about meeting again soon before there is a new round of appointments for the purpose of clarifying and solidifying their process. And so that was something that we did have extensive discussions with the Burgum administration about very early on about the process, because it changed throughout appointments from the very first time in 2019 that commissioners were appointed until the recent appointments with the Burgum administration in 2023. That did change. So actually with Murray, I guess, in 2024, there was slight changes to that along the way. And so the committee agreed that they were going to meet and talk more extensively about that process to really make sure that it is consistent. And we have gotten more consistent as we have gone, but I expect the same thing from the Armstrong administration as well as the Senate and the Senate leaders to do that. So I think that was probably the takeaway from the meeting yesterday, that they're going to work on that. Just also maybe to clarify for the new members, the commission, our staff, our role in the appointment is very minimal. We provide how I phrase it is logistical support. We get the word out there. We issue a press release, link to the website. We do request reappointments for commissioners who are seeking reappointment. We do send those letters. But other than that, it's left to those other offices. So we are really kind of out of the process, but just so your information.
Yeah.
Really short agenda item.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we have a new commission with 3 new commissioners. And I'm just going to note for everyone, for the record and for the commissioner's information. So Commissioner Sharp was appointed for 1 year. So her term will come up next year in 20. No, am I wrong?
No, did I say?
I was appointed for 4 years.
Oh, you were?
Maybe I'm and you the wrong one.
I drew the short straw, or the short straw drew me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pam and Jared are 4-year term. Mark is a 1-year term.
Okay, so Mark's the one that comes up next year in 26. Ron and I both come up in 27. And then Pam and Jared now in 2029. So we'll have some continuity and consistency, at least for the next year. In that, yeah. And then the other thing, the way we've worked it since formation and that is that the appointments are usually, the terms expire in August, is how it's been set up in that. And maybe the selecting committee will want to change that or whatever, but I don't know, whatever. But it's just that's how it's worked or evolved since we started in 2020. So, yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions about terms and or the process?
Cindy, I do want to just let the commission know something. We do not maintain the oaths, and the letters of appointment in our office. That's always been something external to our office. I do want to let the commissioners know I've been requesting that information either from commissioners themselves or from the Secretary of State's office so that we then have a record internally of that information. That was a question that came up early on in the selection process. And we have it written down, but we want the documents to support that in-house. So just to let the commission know, we have taken that on and we are getting it compiled.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good practice.
I want to mention one thing with Pam and Jared's terms ending the same year, and Cindy and I's term ending the same year. There'll be some problems in, excuse me, there'll be some problems in 4 years, I think, with not having enough overlap. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because we'll have Cindy and I exiting in 2 years, and Pam and Jared exiting in 4 years, and Mark exiting in 1 year. And we should maybe have a situation where we have only 1 year of people exiting at the same time. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Ron, you do make sense. I'm going to just propose that they seek reappointment, and so that we don't have the problem.
Yeah,
So
and
that
Cindy
may
and
be
I
a-
can't. Yeah, that's right. Cindy and I can't seek reappointment. So what may be the best thing to happen for the commission is for whoever is appointed when Cindy and I terminate is that they appoint that the governor and the two legislative leaders appoint different terms so that we don't have so many people leaving at one time.
Ron, the terms initially were staggered by statute. So the terms are what they are. They set them up that way. The reason we've had the 1-year terms is because of the passing of Dave, but also
Right.
then Paul retired with 1 year left on his term. So
Right,
when they
okay.
fill them, terms, whether the seat's vacant or not, it's when it happens and then what term is left, but also then the next term if it expires. So it could be a 4-year term if it expires, but the terms don't change.
I understand. It's just something I noted.
And I think it's certainly appropriate to include in a laundry list, so to speak, for when members of the commission are going to be in communication with the legislature during the 27 session. I may not be around for that, but I think that internally it would certainly behoove us to build a list of policy thoughts and considerations that would help everything run as smoothly as it can and should.
Yeah.
I have
All
nothing
right.
further to add.
Great. Good comments. Thank you all. Ready to move on? Item 8 on our agenda, review and discussion of the strategic plan.
Cindy, I
And
just took a deep dive. I'm assuming you want me to introduce this one as well.
Yeah, and I just for Commissioner Goodman's benefit, when we began this morning, Ron, I mentioned the strategic plan and that I've already asked the staff or talked to the staff about having a special meeting, and if we can schedule it in February, given we have 3 new commissioners and just timing also, that we should have a specific meeting on the plans of the commission and our future. What is it we're doing? Where are we trying to get to in that? And just so looking at the existing plan and strategies, and also in preparation for the 2027 legislative session. And so I think it'd be better facilitated by having an in-person special meeting specific to the strategic plan of the commission. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay. With that, what the plan originally was, when the memo was drafted, was to review a little bit at length, with a little bit of detail, the strategic plan that we actually put together. This would have been putting it together last year for the 25-27 biennium. So in preparation for the 25 legislative session, the commission worked with, at the time, Governor Burgum's office to put together this strategic plan. It is detailed. It is works through objectives. It has measurables included. We also have a draft internal strategic initiatives that we kind of, I call it a working document. We've played with it a few times. We've moved priorities around, and it aligns fairly closely to our strategic plan. That's the big plan, but it is less measurable, more aspirational. And we did have a discussion, I believe it was at the May meeting. We did have an extensive discussion regarding that aspirational plan, but we really need to have a deep dive into the strategic plan. Now, I think in order to do that, I think we need to have a few things in place. One is the Logan's review of the AG opinion needs to be complete before we can really have a productive conversation on the strategic plan. And so I was hoping at the meeting to walk you guys through the implementation of the 25-27 biennium strategic plan, but given the research that we need, and I do think it would be better to have a special meeting that focuses just on this. So you guys can review it. It is attachment 22. You can certainly ask questions, but this also will help provide the parameters for the commission's workforce analysis, which they have, the commission has tasked us with completing. And so there's really several different things that need to come in on this. Cindy, you said February, right?
She's nodding.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did. Yeah. And just to see,
think
because we're hitting holidays here, New Year, and now what is this is this the fourth special meeting we've been talking about, or five? Are we up to five?
Yeah, because it's a repeat of the one she said first. So yes, this is number 4. But if anybody has any questions, I can answer them about how we did this. This was I really liked this process because it gives us a direction that we're going to, and everything relates back to the mission of the commission. But there are some things that we need to adjust based on resource allocation and things that did not happen during the 25 legislative session, namely not getting that FTE for education purposes.
You know, if we want an in-person meeting, a special meeting in February, couldn't we combine some of those? I know we'd have to give the different notices, but couldn't we combine those into one session where we travel to Bismarck, have a special meeting that starts at 9 o'clock, adjourns at 10, and then another one starting at 10, adjourning at 11, etc.?
Or do they all have to be separate? Can't we
they-
have like a 1 day thing, and that here are these topics under special meetings, or do they all have to be separate, Logan?
No, they can all be different items on the agenda for a special meeting. You just can't
Okay.
deviate from the agenda once you set it.
Yeah, we've never done that. It's just never occasioned. It's never happened that we had to do that, but I think that's a good idea since we're talking about so many of them.
Yeah. It's really going to be like a serious work day.
Well, all of our meetings are serious work days, Cindy.
That's true. That's true.
I'm just kidding you, Cindy.
Yeah. Well, I made comments earlier, Ron, about we're gonna try to set the dates for 2026 for our regular meetings, and now we've got 4 topics for a special meeting, and if we can do that in person in February, and that so everybody's going to have to be looking at their calendar and then blocking out that time. Anything else, Rebecca?
Unless anybody has questions on the strategic plan that they want me to answer now, but we need a deep dive discussion on it. So nothing now.
All right, hearing no other questions or comments, we'll move on the agenda to item 9. Discussion of a public comment opportunity at future Ethics Commission meetings. And I'm also going to state at our last meeting in person in Bismarck in November, I was hand delivered a letter from a citizen, and that letter was specific to an opportunity for the public to talk to us or comment to us or whatever in that. And I acknowledge when I received that letter, I gave it to the staff. I think I also told the commissioners at our meeting that we had received that letter relative to having public comment. And then the other point I noted in November when I received that letter was that, in fact, we did have a public comment period at our September in-person meeting in Grand Forks at the UND Law School. And there was a couple of comments. We did not have that many participants, but there were a few students there, and actually there was a legislator attending also, and just generic comments in that. So we have done it, and this has come up in our previous discussions. And so, Rebecca, if you want to walk us through some of the things we need to talk about or think about in how do we facilitate public feedback or comments, and how do we do that, I guess, legally on our agendas and that, and in our memos, they raise a lot of good questions. You want to take us through that, Rebecca?
I'm going to turn over to Logan.
Okay.
I guess, Cindy, my recommendation was that you adopt a policy before you start doing this in practice, similar to how, for the new commissioner's benefit, but Ron and Cindy will remember when we established our Facebook page, we had to make a social media policy just to regulate comments, essentially, because people have a First Amendment right to speak, and you're establishing a platform for them to speak. So how do you navigate that as a government entity? So what I plan to do is, once we get direction from you on the 9 questions that are listed, to craft that policy and use the social media policy as starting material for it, but to how we can have this as a topic on our agenda so the public can speak, but also so they don't turn the meeting into something that it's not intended for when we offer this. So that's why there's 9 questions in here. Some direction on them would be helpful, but we'll go through a draft policy, and then if changes are requested once there's a draft, we'll continue to work through it. But if you have an idea of where you want to go, let me know, and we'll start from there.
I'm going to suggest that the commissioners, that we each take time to respond to these 9 points that our staff is asking of us. And can we just think about this, Logan, and on our own individually respond to you by email?
No, I wouldn't ask you to do that. I'll make
okay.
a draft. We can fill in the blanks with consensus.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I probably have an idea of where you want to go, and I'll look at what other political subdivisions do, because now they're required to offer this by statute. So I'll look at their policies, and I'll give you a template for next meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. And how would the commissioners access our policy on the Facebook one? I remember when we did it, but it's like, it's been a while since I've looked at it.
I believe it's on our website.
Yeah, okay.
And we're required to have it on the Facebook page as well, but it is on our website under our policies.
Okay.
Disclaimer. So, Cindy, that's how we manage it.
There's actually 2 policies. There's the public facing policy, but then we have our internal comment regulating policy. I think only one of them's online. We should have both of them online. We'll make sure that they're available and give you a link and or a copy.
Just got my look at it.
Is there an attachment? Questions? I don't get it. Oh.
Okay, any other questions or comments? So Logan will draft something for us to react to. But in the meantime, think about those questions when he presents us with the draft.
There is one, Cindy. So the comments or the questions that are included here, there are 9 of them. Some
Yeah.
of them are just for the point of having the discussion today. That when we draft this, I'm going to go to the bottom, to 7, 8, and 9. These are things that are going to include the method to record the comments, including a sign-in sheet and a recording of the comments. Meaning that what we plan on doing is that we will have a sign-in sheet the same way that we do for our hearings on our ethics rules. We have hearings, so there will be a sign-in sheet, and then we will record everything. So those are kind of established, but that's also one of the things that we need to make sure is included in the policy. So that one we somewhat have answered. Allowing for equal access for all North Dakota citizens, that we can make reasonable accommodations. Those are requirements that we have for our current meetings, and so we can do that. And remote access. So we need to make sure that policy includes that remote access. But I think 6 and 9, I did want to kind of touch on really quick. 9 is that prior to enacting any public comment period, we need to make sure that you as commissioners know First Amendment issues, and also provide you with a few tips, tricks, maybe mechanisms, if there is ever disruptive, non-decorum-like comments, how we handle those or how you can handle those. That's something that we want to walk through with the commission before we start. Number 6, though, I would like direction from the commission, or at least maybe initial comments today, is do you envision, or does the commission envision that they will just sit and receive the comments, or do they plan on engaging with the public and individuals asking questions back, maybe requesting information, or just providing responses? Do you want it to be an opportunity for us to sit, or the commission to sit and receive comment, or do you want it to be more interactive? I think that question 6 really is a critical question in how we develop our policy. So if I could get even like a inkling one way or the other, that would be very helpful.
Well, I'll start. I think it would be beneficial to at least be able to ask a question to whoever is providing information.
I agree with Pam. And one of the reasons I agree with Pam is this might be the last time I ever agree with you, Pam. No, I'm just kidding. One of the reasons, though, is if a question couldn't be resolved at the meeting or at the time that it's asked, I think we save time of both the commission and the staff, in the sense that we get rid of that concern right away, rather than taking it under advisement, so to speak, and responding later. Because the meetings will be recorded anyway, so we'll have a record of it. So I feel that we should be able to ask questions and resolve a situation right on the spot, rather than taking it under advisement, so to speak.
Well, and I think it depends. I think there's maybe 2 different kinds of comments that could come. If it's comments regarding a pending case, I expect the response is, we can't really comment on that. But if the comment or question from public comment arises out of ethics commission policy or rulemaking or anything of that sort, I think that I agree with Commissioner Goodman.
It's one of the things I a question is, should it or would it be on our agenda for our regular meetings? Is this going to be something separate in that? Because what is it we're trying to get out of it? And it's like based that the lady who gave me that letter at our last meeting is just like, she wanted an opportunity to talk, or I think maybe to more formally present the letter to us about having the opportunity to speak in that. And so I'm curious as to how do we handle it? How do we set it up? And does it become part of our agenda? Or is that something that we should be doing separately or not? And then, yeah, I also really appreciate Rebecca's point about that they're going to provide us some tips, because how do we handle it if it not contentious or contrary in that, but so we don't go down rabbit holes. And if somebody's bringing before us, it's really a complaint, and I think we would know what to do, to redirect them in that. But yeah, I'm just curious as to how do we facilitate this to take place.
Sure. So Cindy, it'll be an item on the meeting agenda unless you want to have a separate meeting where that's the only agenda item, but we'll put it on the agenda. And I think most political subdivisions, now that they're required to do it, will do it as the last item on the agenda. So that they're finished their meeting first, and then they let the public comment with whatever time's left. And I think some of them even allocate how much time they'll give to that agenda topic. So I'll see what they're doing. And then as far as responding to comments, it's going to be a fine line, because inevitably you'll have somebody who wants to discuss the complaint and the commission can't discuss it because it's confidential. Or they'll want to file something orally during the public comment session. And the way we set it up in our social media policy is that's not the platform to be doing that you need to go through the proper channel of submitting it either through the hotline or through our office, not during the meeting. That's not what that time is for, or that's not what our social media page is for, excuse me. So I know there's some nuance to that with we can receive a complaint through any medium, but it's a fine line, and we'll have more direction as we craft the policy.
Good. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Number 6 was my big one because, and I say that because when I came into the role as executive director, I was required on day 4 or 5 of being executive director to serve as a hearing officer for an administrative hearing. And the direction that was given to me by the then chair at the time was not to respond or not to comment back or have a discussion. And so I feel like there has been times where the commission has adopted one, and a commission where in our recent administrative hearings, we do have a substantive response. So that was the one where I did not know. So I really appreciate the direction there. I think the other ones we will draft, but I want the commission to understand that this is a work in progress. There's going to be a lot of discussion. And the reason that we bring these topics to the meeting to have discussion is because we can't have these discussions behind closed doors, and we shouldn't be. We should be having them in an open session. And so just to provide that for those of you who are new, why we're coming and saying, what should we do? That is why.
Okay. Are we ready to move on? So Rebecca and Logan, you'll draft something for us and that we can respond to. And
yes. Yep. And I'll make sure you have the social media policy too that we currently use for Facebook and YouTube.
All right, great. We are now at item 10. And before we go to item 10, it is 10 or 11:48. So commissioners, Would you like to take a lunch break? Or should we just proceed? Because we're going to be going into executive session, which is, we go to another Zoom platform and it's a closed session or should we keep going through and try to get done earlier than maybe all day?
Well, let me ask Rebecca and Logan, looking at what we have left, what do you think?
I don't think it'll take a great amount of time, Ron. The only variable is backstory for a lot of it for our new commissioners. What we have on the agenda, I don't think it'll take much to explain those issues. So I'm hopeful that if we continued, we'd be done about 1:30 at the latest.
Just the
With
first.
both of them.
With that, I'd be in favor of continuing.
I'm good either way. Makes no difference to me.
Pam and Jared?
Fine.
Let's keep plugging through. Okay. All right. The next item on the agenda is complaint numbers 24-013, 24-015, 24-041, 25-059, 25-071, and 25-072. Hereinafter referred to as the complaints. This item must be discussed in executive session. The legal authority for closing this portion is North Dakota Century Code sections 54-66-12 subsection 1, 54-66-12 subsection 3, and 44-04-19.2 subsection 1. The topic or purpose of this executive session is discussion on the complaints. Information regarding the content and parties to an Ethics Commission complaint is confidential. As a complaint must be discussed in executive session, no motion is needed to enter executive session. The executive session shall be recorded, and all members of the governing body are reminded to limit their discussion during the executive session to the announced topic. Any collective decision, collective commitment, or other final action by the governing body must occur after it reconvenes in an open meeting. The prohibition on taking final action during the executive session does not apply to providing guidance or instructions to our attorney. We will now ask members of the public who are attending the meeting to leave the meeting. We anticipate adjourning the executive session and reconvening the open portion of the meeting in approximately, staff?
12:30.
At approximately 12:30 p.m. The minutes will show that the executive session began at approximately 11:52 a.m. on December 13th and was attended by Commissioners Goodman, Western, Sharp, and Hubricks, and Executive Director Binstock, Logan Carpenter, attorney, and administrative office manager Addie Moose. So we'll leave this session, and you should have the link to the executive session link. We'll see you shortly. Okay, the minutes will show that the executive session was adjourned at approximately 12:12 p.m. The public has been invited to return to the meeting. We are now back in open session. At this time, I will entertain any motions.
I move to direct the commission staff to proceed as directed during executive session on complaints 2415 and 2415.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. There's no further discussion, so Addie, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Commissioner Huber.
Aye.
Commissioner Goodman.
Aye.
Commissioner Western.
Aye.
And Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Next motion?
I will move that complaint number 24-41 be dismissed for lack of personal jurisdiction.
I'll second.
Call the roll?
Commissioner Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner Huber.
Aye.
Commissioner Western.
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman.
Good. Aye.
And Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Next motion?
I move to direct Executive Director Binstock to summarily dismiss complaint number 25-059 for lack of subject matter jurisdiction.
I'll second that.
Okay, call the roll.
Commissioner Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner Huber.
Aye.
Commissioner Western.
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman.
Aye.
And Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Next motion?
I move that Executive Director Binstock dismiss complaint number 25-71 for lack of subject matter jurisdiction, and that this matter also be summarily dismissed.
I second.
Motion on the floor, call the roll.
Commissioner Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner Huber.
Aye.
Commissioner Western.
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman.
Aye.
And Chair Lindquist.
Aye. And next motion?
I move that Executive Director Binstock summarily dismiss complaint number 2572 for lack of personal jurisdiction.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor, call the roll.
Commissioner Sharp.
Aye.
Commissioner Huber.
Aye.
Commissioner Western.
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman.
Aye.
And Chair Lindquist.
Aye. All right, moving on to our next order of business on our agenda is item number 11. And I have another document to read. The commission has adopted a motion to enter into executive session for discussion of agenda item number 11.
Need to wait, right?
Yeah, Cindy, can you just wait just a minute?
Okay,
So I have two things. We do need a motion to go into executive session on this. Some of the things we need to talk about in open session that are not shouldn't be part of executive session. So you'll see that the motion is a little ways down. The motion is on page 10. So we can have a public discussion on some portions, and then we'll need to move into executive session for attorney consultation.
okay,
The other note that I'll make is Tiffany and Justin Vinci, they sent me a message just a little while ago. They will not be available until 12:30. So we have 10 minutes before we have them.
Okay.
They should be part of executive session. And so I don't know if you want to move on and do discussion of our meeting dates and locations while we wait for them, or if we want to take a break.
commissioners, what's your preference?
I could take a break.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, that's fine. Fine with the break.
take a break and reconvene at 12:30?
Okay.
That works for
Yes.
everybody? And then we come back into regular session, right?
Yes.
Just there. Okay.
And then we'll need a motion to go into executive session.
Okay. Okay, so we are back in session and we are at item 11. And are you going to do this setup or?
I can, Cindy. Yep. So this is item number 11 is discussion of Citizens Alliance of North Dakota et al. Versus Wrigley et al. This is a case in the District of North Dakota that was filed just recently. The et al. Includes the Ethics Commission and me in my official capacity. We outline that this is a lawsuit brought both by Citizens Alliance of North Dakota and Brandon Pritchard against Attorney General Wrigley, State's Attorney Julie Lawyer, the Commission, and Executive Director Binstock. At the Commission's November meeting, the Commission directed staff to retain outside counsel to assist in the litigation. We really view this as a team effort. Logan has filed a notice of appearance in the case, but Justin and Tiffany Vinge have not yet done that, only because their SAG appointment was only recently approved on Monday. And so we did retain Justin and Tiffany Vinge. I have worked with both Tiffany and Justin in cases past, and I have a lot of respect for them as attorneys. General Counsel Carpenter, pursuant to the Commission's directive at the November meeting, we did notify the Office of the Attorney General. You can see the email responses or the emails, communications between General Counsel Carpenter and the AG's office that we were hiring outside counsel. And then we also presented the motion made by the Commission that attorney's fees be paid out of that litigation fund in the Attorney General's budget. Chief Deputy Ness responded and indicated that their office would allow the Commission to request payment for the litigation up to $25,000 for outside counsel. So that definitely helps the Commission's budget. That also is not included in our current budget that we have, the projections that we've done, just to reference back to our earlier item. General Counsel Carpenter then entered into a stipulation with Defense Counsel for the Commission's response date. Either it is a motion or an answer on or before January 9th of 2025. Sorry, 26. Forgive the date, guys. That's wrong. Really, the reason for this is because we wanted to make sure that we had attorneys, the Vinge attorneys on board. And then we also have the Christmas holiday in there. Defense Counsel was easy to work with on that. The Commission does need to discuss its litigation strategy. We do have Tiffany and Justin Vinge on. I believe they are already in executive session. So in order to talk about a response strategy, we do need to have an attorney consultation. With that, that is my setup. Cindy?
All right, so we will entertain a motion to enter into the executive session for the attorney consultation.
Madam Chair, I move that the Commission enter into executive session for attorney consultation regarding the matter of Citizens Alliance of North Dakota et al. V. Wrigley et al. 1:25-CV-256 pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.1 and 44-04-19.2.
I'll second.
All right, and do we need to do the roll call vote?
Yes.
All right.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Commissioner Hubright, Commissioner Westring,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye. So we will now enter an exec session, and it's the,
Cindy,
yes,
yeah. Could you read that's, yeah.
Now you read it.
the whole thing.
The first part, yes.
The Commission has adopted a motion to enter into executive session for discussion of agenda item number 11. Discussion of Citizens Alliance of North Dakota 8L v. Wrigley 8L. This portion of the meeting will be closed to the public for the executive session pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.1 and 44-04-19.2. The executive session will be recorded, and all members of the governing body are reminded to limit their discussion during the exec session to the announced topic. Any collective decision, collective commitment, or other final action by the governing body must occur after it reconvenes in an open meeting. The prohibition on taking final action during the executive session does not apply to providing guidance or instructions to our attorney. We'll now ask members of the public who are attending the meeting to leave the meeting. We anticipate adjourning the executive session and reconvening the open portion of the meeting at approximately
1:15.
at approximately 1:15 p.m. The minutes will show that the executive session began at approximately 12:45 p.m. and was attended by all the North Dakota Ethics Commission commissioners, executive staff, Rebecca Binstock, Logan Carpenter, and Addie Moose, along with attorneys, Vinges.
Okay.
The minutes will show that the executive session was adjourned at approximately 1:16 p.m. The public has been invited to return to the meeting, and we are now back in open session.
Now for a motion. I move that the Ethics Commission instruct council to act in conformity with the discussion had during executive session of the commission meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor. Call the roll, please, Addie.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Commissioner Huber,
Aye.
Commissioner Westring,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Motion carries. We are now at item 12 on our agenda. Discussion of meeting dates for 2026. And I don't think it's on our memo, but our January meeting we set in November is January 28th, a Wednesday in 2026. And then per today's meeting, we are entertaining a special meeting in person for several topics, hopefully sometime in early February.
Didn't we make one for early January?
Not any-
Oh, not any.
And so staff have thrown out some dates for all the months of 2026. And if we can just agree to one of those two dates, if you kind of know your schedule at all for 2026.
As it relates to the February meeting, and that's going to be in person, I would prefer the 18th of February.
I'm free on the 18th.
Works for me.
I'm okay.
I'm okay. Okay. March.
May I
I have a-
presume that March, April, May, et cetera, that is there any other set to be in person?
No, we can do that. However, and whenever,
All right.
yeah. And tentatively, most of these would be online unless we specifically say, no, we're going to do this one in person. There's also the consideration. We usually go to Bismarck, but maybe we want to have a meeting in Fargo or Minot, given that we were in Grand Forks for our September 2025 meeting. So that's all considerations. I do have a preference for the 25th of March.
Cindy, do you have a preference? Oh,
All I was going to say is, if it's online, that works for me.
25th works for me.
Works for me.
Cindy, do you have an idea of how often you want to do in person? Do you want to do once a quarter?
I'm going to defer to the commission, the body. And when we've talked about this in the past, we've kind of generally agreed that if we could at least do it twice a year, but maybe it should be more frequently. I mean, and especially you as new commissioners, how do you want us to meet and when and where?
I like meeting in person. I'm open to quarterly, but I think twice a year for sure would be a good starting point.
What's the number of times the commission met in person in 2025?
At least twice? Has it been 3?
May and November for sure.
It was May and November for sure, but I feel like there was
Go on school for 3.
September, and then we had a special meeting in person in May.
No, that was our May meeting.
No. Oh, wait, yeah, we did it. Fine. Wait, what did we
It was
do?
a 2-day in-person meeting in May.
Yeah,
And then September at the
and
law
then
school.
November.
And then November.
So we did 3, Mark, but then we also had a hearing in there too that was in person.
Oh my gosh, here's where.
Do staff or other commissioners, are you aware of any feedback or blowback from the public in terms of the amount of times we meet online as compared to in person, vis-a-vis accessibility, et cetera?
I have heard, this is anecdotal evidence only. I don't have hard statistics, but there have been instances that members of the public have expressed that they would like to see us meet in person more frequently. It's when I'm speaking at events that it has come up in the past, Mark.
Okay.
I will throw in there that if we are going to at some point allow people to come and talk to us, like this would not be conducive to that. So, maybe quarterly would be a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're amenable to any and all of that. It might be a little bit more work on staff relative to logistics, but I think it's doable. And that might be a good way, at least for this new year, for us to do. Let's plan quarterly in person for 26.
I would encourage that the commission meet in different parts of the state. I don't think there has to be a set in stone. We have to do this much in the east or this much in the west or this much in the state capital, but I think it would be appropriate optically and in terms of letting the public know we're there and we do stuff. Which could
Jared, where do
include
you live?
Mandan.
Mandan, okay.
I agree, Mark.
I think it would be appropriate to have at least an informal goal that during the course of a 2-year biennium that we are able to meet in the more populous cities of the state, whether that be Minot, Dickinson, Fargo, already did Grand Forks, and so on.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So did we settle March?
I think we had agreement on March 25th.
That's what I wrote down.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
how about April? Any preferences for April?
You can do
It,
both.
it depends if we want it to be a in-person meeting or not. If we want to be in person at that time, my preference would be the 29th, but again, that depends on the location. If it's online, either work for me.
Well, why don't we look at Fargo for the 29th of April?
Yeah, I agree.
Perfect.
Wouldn't be a problem with getting a meeting room in the courthouse, I would assume.
That was nice. Ron, that was my thought too. There's also state office conference rooms that we can rent out in Fargo as well. We've looked into that for legislative meeting with legislators in the past, and there are a few good options.
Another option could be the North Dakota State University.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. And Mark, are you familiar with the organization, or it's called Northern Plains Ethics Institute?
I can't say I am.
Yeah, and I don't I got to do some more research. Somebody just connected me with them, but they're in Fargo, and I think they're part of NDSU, but I'm not positive. Rebecca, do you know who that is?
Yes, we've done presentations with them. We did one
Okay.
last spring, I want to say.
Okay.
They are connected to a particular professor at NDSU. But so I think that they would be a good point of contact for a Fargo meeting and to figure out logistics. Another person would be reaching out to Jay Spieler, who's I think he's in the president's office at NDSU. So, yep, I like the idea of NDSU as well.
Okay. Okay, so April 29th in Fargo. Details to come. How about May 20th or 27th?
I have no preference.
Either one for me.
Preference.
The 20th would work better for me.
20th is better for you, Pat? Pam,
Yes,
I
it
mean?
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that might be better because the 27th would be getting close to the long weekend, right?
Okay.
So, but yeah, 20th is good for me.
And I've got to plant my flowers on the 27th.
All right. How about June? '24?
24th is okay.
I would prefer the 24th.
Okay. June 24. July.
Do that one in person then, or August.
And
So I
new,
think the
new commissioners, I'm going to jump in here because do we want to take a month off? When we started, we kind of set it up to meet monthly because of being a new body. And I know there's enough work right now that, yeah, we need to be meeting monthly, but maybe we could plan to take 1 month off for 26 or maybe not. I don't know.
We could be
Well-
like the Supreme Court and take August off.
Take August off.
I have no say in this decision. Sorry. I was joking. We're here regardless.
I think it seems that you could have a meeting scheduled if needed. And so you have a date on the calendar, but you can say only if the commission decides that a July or August meeting is necessary, so that there's at least a date blocked out for everyone.
Good suggestion. Any preference for July?
I'd say the 22nd.
22 works for me.
Perfect.
Okay. How about August?
Or you're gonna do an in-person one in August?
Okay,
Okay, so-
folks, I'm an old man. I'm gonna leave you for a couple minutes, and if you decide, I'm okay with whatever you decide, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
If it's in person, I would respectfully request August. One moment here, I need to check both my calendars.
Yeah.
I have a trial that's set to commence on August 18th. So my physical attendance there might be not good.
5,000?
Okay. Would the 26th work?
I can make it work.
So
All right.
Cindy, we went up to the law school in September of last year. I was gonna, what was that? This year, sorry. I'm already in January. So I do plan on reaching back out to them. They had talked about wanting to do that on a consistent basis. And so I will plan on reaching out to them to see if they want us to come back in September. The Supreme Court goes up there in October, I believe. Right? Okay. So then that would be not a month to go up there. So I'm thinking September or maybe November. But by November, they're into finals. So I think September was good. I'm hoping for a little bit more participation this next time, but
That's true.
just a thought. So if we wanted to maybe do the July one in person instead of August.
Any preferences?
Are we talking about September at this point? And I guess technically I could be gone, went, so my opinion may not matter.
We're going to operate like you will be here, Mark.
Well, I mean, you know.
Yes.
Are we
Well, if we're gonna-
thinking
if-
September in person?
Well, I think that's what Rebecca just mentioned, that
Okay.
the law school has asked if we could make it a annual thing, I guess.
I would respectfully request September 30th in that regard.
Did we concur on August? Is it the 26th?
I think we did, yeah.
I think the date is good, but we didn't decide if it's gonna be in person or not.
Well, or frankly, if we're going to have one, as much as to hold a date.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, we've got July 22nd, August 26th, and September 30th. And tentatively, UND Law School has asked us to return. It's not confirmed as yet, so that would be in September, possibly, but we need to do some confirming. And then so somebody mentioned that if we're going to be in Grand Forks in September, then maybe we make our July meeting in person. But we
What
can
if we-
confirm.
What if we just tentatively, we keep these dates and then on the workload, we could select July or August for a month off, if we take a month off?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, how about October? Any preferences?
No preference.
Nope, none.
I'm going to say the 28th.
28th, okay.
And how about November?
18th. If it's the 25th, it's too close to Thanksgiving. We might run into some conflicts. So I'm going to say the 18th.
Yeah,
Also a holiday.
Yeah, Veterans Day.
I apologize.
yeah, the 11th. Well, I'm also kind of trying to track the time, the amount of time between the meetings to make sure we give our staff both some breathing room, but time to do the work. So yeah, I think 18th is good for November. And December, it's like, nah, it's got to be the 16th. 23rd is just too
16th.
close, too close to the holidays and family and yeah.
Keep in
I
mind,
think-
November, December, there may be special meetings because we're approaching legislative session.
Yep.
So nobody wants to think about that.
Yep. And then we can lock in the in-person, but we do have the April 29th one in person in Fargo, so yay, and possibly then September in Grand Forks.
These
But
are
yet
going
to
to be
be-
our special guests in December.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I wasn't paying attention. What did you say, Cindy, the last thing?
We've
September?
got our 26 dates locked in. April 29th will be in Fargo. And tentatively September 30th, possibly Grand Forks.
Okay.
And July or August, we might not have a meeting, but we have a date set. And then as the fall starts coming around and that, Rebecca mentioned the potential that we will be needing a couple of special meetings in preparation for legislative session.
Okay.
Okay. We are on item 13, further business.
I have one note just to inform the commission that it does appear that we will be having a special legislative session in January. We will be monitoring. If there's anything the commission needs to do, we will let you know.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Well, new commissioners, what do you think? You're ready
feel
to sign
welcome.
on for an extension, right, Mark?
I feel welcome, and I am appreciative of everyone's indulgence if I am going beyond my skis or otherwise. I look forward to learning and participating to the best of my ability. So thank you for making me feel welcome.
Likewise, Mark. Look forward to it.
All right. Well, we're very happy you're part of the body now, the North Dakota Ethics Commission, and your contributions today, from my perspective, have been right on and insightful and very helpful. So you've all jumped right in. And I want to also take a moment to thank Rebecca, Logan, and Addie for their exemplary work on behalf of the North Dakota Ethics Commission, their dedication. Yeah, and we're going to help. We're going to get more resources. And from my perspective, we really need some more staff. And
Yes.
we'll get into it as we keep going in that. But we know our staff are very stretched in that, and yet they always exemplify professionalism, and they, as your chair, they really help me to understand and to serve in a good way as your chair. So thank you, all of you, for your good work.
Oh, one more thing. I have Mark's phone number. I think I have Pam's phone number, but I need Jared's phone number. I'm sure
I
everyone
will
else.
get that out, Ron.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I haven't had a whole lot of time to get it to
That's
people.
okay.
Yeah, well,
you-
I'm greatly impressed. He got appointed late yesterday afternoon, and they got the paperwork done between late last night and early this morning for him to participate legally at our meeting today. So thank you so much and Jared, for your cooperation to doing that.
Of course.
Oh, Jared, are you the guy that has the diamonds? You know, let's.
I wish. I wish I was.
Well, Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Yes.
guys.
It was a
Same.
good meeting. Thank you all very much. We will adjourn the North Dakota Ethics Commission. Thank you all so much. Safe holidays.
Bye, everyone.